Hey pet parents, if you want to take your pet on an airplane for vacation or if you're moving or whatever, I have 4 tips I'd like to share with you. The first one is each airline has only a limited number of pets per flight. Unless you're a certified service dog or other animal, there's only a certain number of pets that can fly with you on board in the airplane. So you got to book early and make sure you get on the flight. If you show up at the airport expecting to get onto a flight and you haven't already gone and made your reservation in advance, you probably will never get on. The second thing is that most airlines require a health certificate for your pet, and there's a window of time in which you have to do that. If your health certificate is, say, 8 months old or a year old, it's probably a little too old, so make sure you know the time frame for that. And the other thing is the pet carrier. When you go and buy a pet carrier, whether you buy it in a store or online or whatever, they usually always say airline approved, but that really means nothing because every airline has a different set of rules and a different set of size requirements and type for the pet carrier to go on board with you. So it's really important to make sure that whatever airline you choose, you know what the requirements are for pet carriers and that your carrier will meet their requirements. The other tip I have is if you are traveling with your pet, not having the pet on board, but having your pet fly as cargo, like if it's a larger pet, I personally don't like to do that at all because too many issues have happened and it's too risky for me, and that's why I road trip a lot with my larger dogs. If you need to take your pet on board the plane, in the belly of the plane as cargo, one thing that people often don't think about is weather considerations. And the weather has to be okay, not too cold, not too hot on both ends. So your departure city as well as your arrival city. So for example, if you're flying in the middle of the winter from Michigan down to Florida or Phoenix or wherever, it has to be warm enough in Michigan for your pet to go on the flight. If it's 20 degrees, that's probably not going to happen. And same thing, if it's the summer and you're flying, say, from a northern state down to a hot state like Florida or Phoenix, it has to be cool enough in your destination as well as your departure state. So if you're flying down to Florida and it's 97 degrees with humidity, you may not be able to take your pet on that flight, get your pet on that flight. I found that out the hard way when I had to move from state to state with my cat, Maggie. I hired a pet relocation company to help me because we wanted to get situated with housing before we brought her down. So I hired a company to take care of getting her to the airport, getting her on board as cargo. And it was really, really stressful. We were going from New York to Phoenix, Arizona. And in New York, they had a really bad cold snap. Shh. Jessie, please. Oh, Jessie's so crazy today. Anyway, in New York, it was so cold, and it was much colder than they would allow for her to get on the flight. I literally had to wait 4 extra days for her to fly from New York and to join us in Phoenix, and it was really tough. So the bottom line is book early. That's number 1. And number 2, know all of the restrictions and the requirements for whichever airline you're going to be flying, okay? We don't want your pet to get stuck not being able to get on the plane. So, bon voyage. Thank you. Jessie, you're so crazy. You finished that chew stick already, huh? You crazy. Come on, girl. Get down.